Watch the show live weekdays from 3 p.m. until 6 p.m. or listen on ESPN 690.
I'm Clayton Bromberg, the president of Underwoods. One of the biggest changes we've seen since I started working here in 1980 is how we have to travel to the world markets to buy. There are a bunch of things that cause this, but the biggest has to do with Underwood's quality standard. For example, in diamonds, we have to see and gemologically evaluate a diamond to see if it'll fit inside our stringent quality standards. If we're at the market, whether it's in New York, Hong Kong, Africa, or India, we have the huge selections to pick from, and our standard will never be compromised. We get the prices we expect for Underwood quality. And as a result, we control our diamond stock instead of a diamond dealer just sending us what he wants us to have, and we're able to offer these beautiful, carefully selected diamonds that we're proud to put the Underwood name on. And they're available right now at Underwood's in San Marco, Avondale, and the shops of Ponte Vedra.
Digital marketing, well, my intern handles the social media, my brother-in-law does my search, and my receptionist sends out email blasts. All done.
Your digital marketing may get done, but is it doing anything? No? Then let CMG Local Solutions help. At CMG Local Solutions, we combine the best-in-class technology and analytics to maximize your digital dollars while targeting local customers for your business. So your digital marketing doesn't just get done, it gets results. Learn more about how we can help you at cmglocalsolutions.com.
It's back. The Big One sales event is here, and it's going on now at Arlington Toyota. Arlington's got over 400 new Toyotas available. Cars, trucks, SUVs, and family vans. And that means now's the time to go big and go home in style. Plus, with every new Toyota purchase, you get Arlington's lifetime warranty and 30-day exchange program. But don't wait. The Big One sales event won't last long, so shop today. 10939 Atlantic Boulevard and online at arlingtontoyota.com.
Shop the Beaches Green Market this and every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Penman Park on Penman Road for fresh local fruits and vegetables, plants, meats, eggs, baked goods, honey, wellness products, and so much more. EBT cards welcome. Diglocal.org for more info.
My best friend and I do everything together. We buy the same clothes, watch the same movies, and eat the same foods. But that doesn't mean our financial goals are the same. Choosing an investment that's right for you and your goals is a personal decision. Florida's Office of Financial Regulation has resources and information to help you get started in making the best decision for you. Visit flofr.gov to learn more. This message is sponsored by the Florida Office of Financial Regulation, the Florida Association of Broadcasters, and this radio station.
Did you know giving just 3 grains of rice from an entire sack can make a difference in someone's life? That's where the name 3 Grains of Rice Missions comes from. At 3 Grains, our mission is eradicating homelessness and poverty in Northeast Florida, and we need your help. Whether it's volunteering for one of our many projects or helping with a donation, we commit to connecting hearts and changing lives. Visit 3grainsofricemissions.org today. That's 3grainsofricemissions.org to learn how you can give your 3 grains.
This weekend, unplug. Getting closer to nature can get you closer to your family. To find the forest nearest you, go to discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S.
Broadcasting live from the Anajar and Levine studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733.
WOKV Jacksonville. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. ESPN 690, a Cox Media Group station.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. First lawsuit filed against former Northwestern football coach Pat Fitzgerald and members of the school's leadership seeking damages from the hazing scandal. The former player, who filed anonymously, alleges the program and its leaders were negligent in allowing hazing inside the team's locker room. His attorneys expect additional football players and other Northwestern athletes to join the lawsuit. Top NFL running backs like Christian McCaffrey and Derrick Henry took to social media to rally around the Giants' Saquon Barkley, Raiders' Josh Jacobs, and Cowboys' Tony Pollard after the trio failed to reach long-term agreements before yesterday's deadline. The NFL sending a clear message when it comes to running backs, notes ESPN's Kimberly Martin.
There is a cap on what we think your value is. On the field, we will lean on you left and right. Toss you the ball, hand you the ball. You can win games for us. But when it comes down to what we are willing to pay and how we want to divvy up our money, your position, we don't value it.
Rory McIlroy, John Rahm, Justin Rose's group headlined the British Open pairings this week. They tee off just before 10 a.m. Eastern on Thursday.
If you need solid hires fast, you need Indeed. The all-in-one hiring solution makes it easy to attract, interview, and hire candidates from the same place. Want to find your next great hire? Visit Indeed.com/credit.
ESPN 690 and Action Sports Shacks presents Brent and Friends.
Today is one of the worst days that I've had in a long time.
We're getting a little punchy around here, people. It's been a lot in a row.
I would love to punch you guys.
Ow! It really hit me.
Brent and Friends with Brent Martineau, Aaron Schachter, and Kasey Kurtz. Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio. ESPN 690.
What's happening on a Tuesday after it was a busy Monday in the NFL? Now we've got some hurt feelings on a Tuesday. A brand new opening to a facility here in Jacksonville, and the momentum just keeps piling up. It's like we have snowballs in Jacksonville, even though it doesn't get cold enough for that kind of thing. It's a snowball of positive momentum at Jags headquarters in the River City as we head into the 2023 football season. Brent Martineau, Aaron Schachter, Kasey Kurtz, Cry Me a River running backs, I guess, is the last 24 hours.
Is that the hurt feelings? I was curious. I like when I hear about hurt feelings.
It's definitely a thing, right? I mean, Derrick Henry said it. You've got listen, I get it. Every running back that's ever played the game or is playing the game, I don't mind them standing up for themselves at all. I kind of understand it, but I kind of understand the other side too, like we're talking about. It's like market value, and you know, you're on the running back side on this, trying to find a solution. Aaron, I think I don't mind that. Like, let's find a solution. I just don't know if there's a solution for a position. That this is an ebb and flow when we talk about sports. This is like an evolution, a cyclical thing sometimes. It doesn't mean the running back position is being devalued right now. It means it will be devalued in 15 years. We don't know that. We don't know what the game's going to be in 15 years. So you can't just change the rules. The other problem is changing the rules is really tough when the new CBA isn't due until 2030.
Yeah, I think that's a big point, too. And by the way, 15 years ago, running back was one of the most valued positions on offense outside of quarterback. So it changes fairly rapidly sometimes, too. I think the only solution that I can think of that doesn't hurt anybody else on the field is one the owners are going to hate, which is essentially, I know you went to this slotting of money and years to make it all homogenous in that first round so you don't have to worry about holdouts and negotiations with the rookies. But if you go back to a system where you let them negotiate how many years on that deal, maybe the money is all spoken for. Maybe it's all slotted in based on your pick and whatever that is. Maybe that stays. But instead of forcing guys into 3-4 year deals with a 5th year option, you just let them figure it out one by one, and you won't find the running back signing for more than 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, that's an interesting way. What's the solution, Kasey? Is there one, or tough luck, take your $10 million and stop crying about it, running backs?
Yeah, I mean, you gotta do something. I am scared to say this, but I actually like what Aaron's cooking up here in terms of maybe keeping the money what it is, but negotiating the length of the deal is an interesting idea because then you can get out of it earlier. I'm sure teams won't be thrilled with that because they want the running back as long as they can, then they just draft another one. So I think
they want all those guys as long as they can, right? They don't want to sit here and negotiate a 2-year deal with a number 2 pick.
I think that will help. I'm in favor of that. But I also find it funny that when you're talking about the hurt feelings and the guys that were a bit mad on Twitter and upset on Twitter, which you heard the SportsCenter update, I think it's funny that 2 of them, in McCaffrey and Derrick Henry, are like, damn, good luck, though, because we got paid.
We got paid.
Like, we're fine. Jonathan Taylor's out there fighting for his life because he still has to get paid. CMC's like, dang, that's crazy. Good luck, though. You know, I don't know what to tell you. I'm good.
Well, you know, it's interesting here in Jacksonville, I think, because you can make the case that even in the heyday of running backs, or when it was a better day for running backs, Maurice Jones-Drew and especially Fred Taylor were underappreciated across the country in the league, right? I mean, they were undervalued, especially Fred. He continues to be, to this day, how good he was, and there's trying to stake claim to a Hall of Fame nomination is what all of Jacksonville's fan base will now try to do, or has been doing anyway, but now that Tony Baselli's in. So, like, this is not – I don't think this is that new of a thing, but The dollars are just distinctive right now. And also the hard part for anybody that's trying to cry wolf a little bit here is that you have a hard time getting anybody to relate to, I feel bad for you making $10 million only. That's a tough thing to get to the fan of football because it's just a different world they live in, even though I kind of understand what they're saying.
You want to take a swing at career earnings for Maurice Jones-Drew?
That's a good question. I kind of forget the deal.
He played 8 seasons, right, from 2006 to 2014, all with the Jaguars except for the last one.
The money has really gone up, like really, really, really gone up.
Absolutely.
So this isn't going to be as incredible as I bet it's he's a second-round pick.
Remember, Brent, he was very excited when he was given the opportunity to make some money on this show. So maybe go down a little bit from where you're at.
I think I'm going to overshoot this and say $26 million.
9 seasons.
26?
36.3.
Gosh, I was going to be 36 too. But I didn't know if you'd get all of that. Again, you got to remember the beginning part of that deal for 4 years, Kasey, was probably not that much.
$1 million, then
pick.
$780, then $445, and then in 2009 he got the deal reworked, $13,250. That's a good year for Mojo. But what about Fred? So Fred, 9 seasons for Mojo, 13 for Fred. All with the Jags except for the last 2, 09 and 10 with the Pats. But he played from 98 to 2010. Career earnings for Fred, 36 in 9 seasons for Mojo.
It's another tough one again. We're talking about almost like a different era of the dollar.
True. Here's a hint. He earned more than $8 million once. It was in 2003 when he earned $9 million.
17.
Okay.
That's low, Case.
I'm going to say 13 seasons. He was a first rounder. I'm going to say $23 million.
You guys are way low. Case, if you think about yours, if he earned $9 million 1 year and 17 for his career, that means in 12 seasons he earned like $250,000 or $500,000 a year.
All right. What I meant was 27.
All right. $40 million, sorry. 40.9 for Fred Taylor in 13 years. Still extremely low, guys.
You know what's interesting, though, is like I guess the dollars didn't change that much across the career of Fred and Mojo, even though they were really 2 different time periods. Because 40 and 30, they're in the same boat.
They really are.
And one was a first-round pick, one was a second-round pick. But that's interesting. Again, these guys would make that in a hurry now with one deal, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they would certainly make that.
Maybe on the signing bonus.
Yeah, and I get it. It's you get beat up in that position, but the position has long been like, okay, we're getting away from it because of the passing game. Oh, no, wait a minute. We still need it because it's an important part of the game and need to be able to run the ball. It's an injury-plagued position because you're getting hit on every play. Then it's hey, we need variety. You got to be able to catch the ball out of the backfield. You got to be able to pass pro. You got to be able to do all these things, not just run the rock. And now you got to be able to be elusive. Like, I mean, the Derrick Henry stuff was a little bit frowned upon because is he going to be able to get around anybody?
Yeah. Well, we're
going
to find out.
Just run over anybody. This isn't Earl Campbell, right? This isn't. Well, what Derrick proved is, you can just run over people.
Through people, yeah.
And through people. And he's quick enough in the open field to get around people, too. So it's a fascinating evolution of that position. And I mean, I'm sure all positions run this way, but maybe none more than the running back position and the highs and lows, the peaks and valleys of it and where it's going. And I just I don't know what to say to the running backs when they are defending themselves because it's like the market is the market. Like we do this with the house comparison, right? Like we can all think our house is worth X, but it might not be. Listen, I'm living in a world right now. We're playing baseball and softball, and kids are trying to be recruited to college, and not just ours but others. And it's no different. Like your market is your market. Position by position is different. People want guys that can throw 90 way more than they want a first baseman. Like that's just your value, even though you might not be as good. If you can hit 90, is really good.
But there is a tipping.
Even though the guy throwing 86 might be better. Like it's just the market is the market. It sets itself.
That's fair, but there is a tipping point. There's going to come a point where running backs go, you know what? I'm better off playing basketball. I'm better off playing baseball. Like, I'm better off playing linebacker. Why keep killing yourself getting crushed on every single carry? Every time you touch the ball, you're risking CTE for another $3.5 million base salary. It's like, why bother?
Yeah, but it's a sexy position. That's why bother.
Not when you're not getting paid. You watch. These guys will flood that position. They're gone.
All right, every kid, yeah, but you don't realize that growing up. Like, your position is made when you're not thinking about how much money you're going to make someday down the road in the NFL. Like, every kid wants to play quarterback, running back, or wide receiver, right?
Sure.
The 320-pound kid in 8th grade still wants to play quarterback, running back, or wide receiver.
You know he did. He's right here, baby. You know what I'm saying?
Like, that's just the way it goes. And so, yeah, it's a sexy position. You want the ball.
Yeah.
You've got the ball in your hands. And so it's not like we're going to stop making running backs because they're going to boycott the position.
Well, not necessarily boycott, but you look at a lot of these kids and they're like multiple sport athletes or have the ability to play, whether they did so seriously in high school or not. But if I'm Saquon Barkley,
any sport you wanted,
I'm looking at this going, man, I got the legs to play ball. I'm going to have the ball in my hands just as much. It's just as sexy for me to be a shooting guard as it is to be a running back. And by the way, my Supermax, fully guaranteed.
Yeah, you look at those NBA contracts, you're like, shoot, I'm going to start shooting right now.
Come on.
Start hitting some free throws, I'm in.
Learn how to throw a knuckleball. You can make guaranteed money in baseball.
True.
I'll never forget having this conversation. I can picture right where I am in the locker room with Maurice Jones-Drew, and there might be a couple of us, and we're talking about, like, I think his kids that they just had Deuce, I think, his son, and so we're talking a little bit about that, and I think he was asking about, like, Ty and Kaylee, and said, hey, yeah, we're playing baseball. Like, make sure they play baseball. Don't play football. Make sure you play baseball. Like, that's what he was thinking.
Yeah.
Like, as a guy who was going through it, he was thinking, my kids are going to go play this because that's where the guaranteed dollars are. Like,
it's
as a
safer
businessman
and financially
in that sport.
viable. Yes.
Absolutely, right? And so, now, again, I think Deuce is playing football, and he's really good at it. And so I'm not sure he actually followed Dad's advice. But the point is, that's the way these guys were thinking. Because, when they're thinking with their business hat on, and remember now, Maurice Jones-Drew, he had that big holdout. Maurice Jones-Drew, one of the most valuable players of all time in Jags history. And he was fighting for his position and his value even now what it is, 10 years ago, here in Jacksonville with Shad Khan.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that was a big thing. So this is like not a new thing is my point. And I don't know if it's ever going to stop being a new thing. And what's fascinating in the teams that are good, and what I do, I take the Philadelphia Eagles because they're a very good team right now. And the way they've built that team and what they're doing is we've talked about they have a stable of running backs. And they're not just leaning on one guy. Now, they might have a front-running guy, but they want a multitude of guys back there with different skill sets and fresh legs and everything else. Look what the Jags are doing. We're going to talk position groups today, and position group, ironically, will be running backs at 4 o'clock. And we're like, why are they picking Tank Bigsby in the 3rd round? Like, at least that's what I was asking. They've got 4 backs.
Yep.
They signed Ernest Johnson. They drafted Snoop Connor. They obviously have Travis Etienne, who looked like he could handle the load, and you don't want the ball in anybody's hands anyway. And Jermichael Hasty was really good on 3rd down and then some. And they still drafted a running back. So it's almost like teams are saying, hey, we love you, star guy, but we need more than you even if you are the star guy.
We'll see. I mean, we'll see as the league continues to evolve. As the quarterback-friendly league that's pass-happy with wide receivers continues to evolve, I think we'll see a response in kind from the defensive back position. You'll see those guys get flooded with bigger, better, faster guys, and then suddenly running backs will become in vogue again. You got guys like Bijan and Jahmyr Gibbs, who are these Swiss Army knives cut from Christian McCaffrey and Saquon Barkley's mold. You know, Josh Jacobs even is a big pass catcher. Like, this is the NFL model now for the running back. We went from hard runner, who was a 3-down back, to running back by committee, to Swiss Army knife, who's a 3-down back now. You're starting to see a lot of that start to come back with some of those guys. So I think as that becomes more pronounced and some of these defensive backs get bigger and faster and are able to defend against these tight end hybrids, I think you will see the running backs make a comeback. But it doesn't change the fact, Brent, that by the time you get to the second contract, the bodies are almost washed.
Well, we don't know if they're washed, but it's assumed that they are, right? It's assumed that they're fresher. And again, a value to a position. Like, the GMs do this. Salary cap gurus do this. How much are we going to put into X position? And don't think for a second the quarterback now making $40, $50 million is hurting this position too. There's a domino effect there, right? The receivers now making $25 million. The offensive linemen all over $20 million if you're any good. The pass rushers certainly up around 20, 25. We're seeing Quentin Williams, $96 million deal. It's like 24 a year or something. I mean, these are big deals that are impacting I think positions like running back, I think safety has been in this fold for a long time. The reason why people don't feel bad for the safety position, who, by the way, are also putting their body on the line like on every play, is that they don't have the football in their hand. They're not in like fantasy football and scoring touchdowns.
Yep.
So people will say, okay, well, that is a devalued position. You're not getting in the end zone. Like, I'm not watching you like on my highlight reel as much as I am the running back. But I don't think the safety position is that different. We're seeing the tight end position this year lose a lot of value, which really doesn't make sense in a pass-happy league.
Certain tight ends. Like guys like Dalton Knox and Schultz and the tight ends cut from that cloth or take a big pay cut. And maybe Evan Ingram thought he was going to make more money, but the Wallers, the Pitts, the Ingrams, those guys are going to keep getting paid towards the top of that market.
We think.
Yeah.
The bottom line is, I mean, the market shifted a little bit with tight ends. And so much so that it took until July 16th for Evan Ingram to get his deal done.
I do think you have to be a hybrid offensive tight end to make any money at the position. I don't think guys like, even the great tight ends of yesteryear, the Tony Gonzalez, Antonio Gates, these guys were offensive, like brilliant hands on these guys, never worrying about dropping a pass or not running the right route. Today, I don't think they would make nearly as much money. Yeah,
so here's what I wonder. You mentioned Bijan Robinson. Like, you mentioned these guys. Fournette was it 2017. Whoever the Lions just picked.
Jahmyr
Gibbs. Is that the way? Like, if a team has a good quarterback, they don't want to draft another good quarterback. They like their good quarterback, and they're going to pay him no matter how much it takes. If your team has a good running back, is the way to do it in an organization now is, heck, I'd rather spend a first-round pick on a next running back than pay the one I currently have for a 4-year deal.
I think a lot of executives feel that way.
Yeah, I don't know about
DeAndre Swift's pretty good, you know.
Yep.
I mean, they never gave him the ball. I don't know about first. I say second round, you got me sold. But first round, that's a lot.
And it's not backs at the
top.
top.
Two go, though, Kasey. Saw two go.
I get that, but we've also seen a lot of guys in the second and third round be extremely valuable, like Jonathan Taylor, who probably should have gone in the first round. So, like, there will be teams that do it. But I would say that more times than not, you can find a guy in the second round because we keep getting examples of it. Kenneth Walker's another one.
Taylor, by the way, another one of these pass-catching backs who can do it all 3 downs.
Yeah.
And by the way, it's not just about the backs at the top of the list. Joe Mixon was one we had question marks about going into the offseason. He had a couple of problems off the field, too, but it didn't necessarily look like he was slowing down. His numbers had come down a bit, but the passing numbers are up in Cincinnati, and he just reworked his deal. He was expected to be, I think his cap hit was in the 12 millions before he restructured, and that's down to 5.5 now.
Yeah, that was, again, you got to wonder about keeping it together, right? Like, how much influence is, okay, we don't want to upset this thing. We're, like, on our way to a Super Bowl maybe, and we're trying to work out a deal with Joe Burrow, and he wants to keep Mixon. Like, there's a lot of things that go into that one, I believe.
Yeah.
That's just a cut-and-dry running back room decision. But what you guys are saying, Kasey, what you're talking about is really the genesis of where the running back position started to get devalued. People are like, the Denver Broncos, they rolled like you and me out there as a running back and still ran for 1,000 yards.
They really
for like every year.
They really did.
No, like every year. Like, it didn't matter who it was. I mean, sure, it was Hall of Famer Terrell Davis, and then it was you name it, right?
It did eventually catch up to them after Phillip Lindsay, I think. They had to draft an actual stud back there.
Well, I agree, but that's like my point is what you're saying isn't untrue, that there are running backs to be had. Mm-hmm. The Jags had a running back for 2 years as an undrafted free agent that, quite frankly, they thought was better than their top 5 pick.
Yeah.
So when you think that is out there, well, why would you spend the money on it?
It's tough. I think it's the one, and it's not a bad thing, obviously, but it's part of if athletes are bigger, stronger, and faster than they've ever been, like there's just a lot of them. We talk about it with wide receivers. We're going to get to that point where obviously your top guys are still going to get paid like McCaffrey did, like Derrick Henry did at the wide receiver position, talking about Tyreek Hill and Justin Jefferson will get paid. But there's a lot of guys that can probably give you 600 to 800 yards if your quarterback's good. It's just finding the ones that'll give you 1,600 yards. And I think it's just a byproduct of athletes are better than they've ever been. And unfortunately, that's now a problem for a lot of the running backs and a lot of the wide receivers, I think, in the next couple of years.
What's interesting about the wide receiver position is I feel like we may have already lived through this in a sense. And maybe it comes back around, right? Again, the ebbs and flows, the cyclical nature of it. But I think there was a theory, let's go back 10 years just for a safe number, and say, hey, you know what? Every draft, take a 4th, 5th, 6th round receiver, and one's going to hit. Like, just try your draft picks at 4th and 5th round, and you can get one. Well, that might have been the case, and I still think that could be the case for the depth standpoint. But I think the league, somewhere along the way in the last few years, also was like, yeah, the alpha guy, though, is coming in the top 20 picks, right, or the first round. And that's why maybe we've seen this run on receivers. Unless people were just starting to see, like, we need more than one, we need more than two, and we also know that we're going to have to start paying the guy that we have way too much, so we better replenish. Like, I don't know which was the theory,
well,
but
that's
I feel
pretty
like
much
we've seen it.
That was kind of what was happening to running backs after a while, too. It got real top-heavy at the top of the market, which lends to people experimenting with 2- and 3-back committees. And then suddenly you realize you don't need a 3-down guy anymore. And I think if wide receivers keep earning money at the rate they're earning it, I think you'll find the same thing happen in game plans in the NFL. They'll figure out other ways to do it with tight ends and running backs and hybrid running backs. Again, I'm going to watch real closely this season what Arthur Smith and the folks in Atlanta got going on. Because if it looks like Bijan Robinson might be one of the better receivers in the league, as well as a decent running back, like, you may change the modern game once again. You may find a bunch of teams coming up behind them with the copycat stuff.
Guys, I'm going to give you the guy that, like, this is why, I believe Saquon Barkley's a different animal here. I think Saquon Barkley has a lot of value outside of first down and 10 and second down and 6 for the Giants. And we've talked about it, like, all week. I've given you a million reasons why. I also think he has, like, face of the league possibilities, different than the Josh Jacobs in my book or Pollard, who provide a bunch of value on the football field, but I'm not sure they have that kind of power off the football field, in my estimation. But the thing that's hurting these guys is what we said about James Robinson. Or I'll give you the latest one. The guy that I really like, and I think he's really hurt the Jags last year, twice when they played him, is Isaiah Pacheco for Kansas City. In this pass-craze offense and world where you got to have that element to win, this dude's a 7th-round pick out of Rutgers. And he's super valuable to them. So, again, it just shows – it's just another – there are more and more examples of we can get these guys cheap for a little investment and still get a lot of bang for the buck.
Well, let me pause you on Pacheco for a second, because the Chiefs forever, including last year until really Pacheco went on a run – we're doing the 2- and 3-person committee. I mean, very recently is Pacheco, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and I think Le'Veon Bell, if not like 1 or 2 other guys over the last 2 years.
Kareem Hunt
was another one. And so, yeah, Pacheco ended up coming through big for them last year. It happened to be a Super Bowl winning year for them, so maybe they stick with that. But just another one of these teams that didn't necessarily care to really field the position with a guy as opposed to just whoever they had on the roster.
Yeah, but I think they tried Kasey, right? And Clyde Edwards-Helaire is almost like the red flag for this position, and Pacheco's like, see what we can do. On that very team, Pacheco's been way more valuable as a 7th-round pick, and I think Helaire was second round. Oh, was he first?
Yeah, he was 32.
Well, when he's not injured, Helaire is good. It's just he can't stay on the field.
I mean, I think they picked Helaire because he was the pass-catching back, and I think obviously they want to throw the ball. Mm-hmm. And I think Pacheco, I mean, Helaire was not going to run between the tackles. He just wasn't that guy. So I think when they got Pacheco, they unlocked something that they really never had since Kareem Hunt consistently. And they're like, hey, this kind of works. Maybe we should do some of this. And I think it's why they won the Super Bowl.
Well, and the other thing is I think he was so valuable against the Jags. And the reason they can do that is they also aren't sitting here saying maybe what the Titans are saying. We need to run for 185 yards today. The Chiefs are like, hey, we run for like 90 yards, we're good. You know what I mean? Like, they just need to balance it out and be able to run. Something like Buffalo wasn't able to do a couple years ago, where everything was pass. They couldn't run the ball at all. But some of these crazy pass-happy teams certainly just need to do it, a dose of it, to keep people honest. The running back position up for a lot of debate, and it's like, don't you almost feel like if they could strike, they would strike the running back position alone?
Yeah. It'd be low-key cool.
It would be
low-key. Not high-key. Right? It wouldn't be great for fantasy football, but, like, could you imagine no running backs, what the sport looks like? It'd be wild, bro.
Yeah. It'd be like they need a separate union for running backs.
Feels like it.
By the way, one last point before we go to break. 3rd biggest receiver on the Chiefs last year. Anyone want to take a guess?
You talking about height?
No. Receptions. How many receptions? You had Travis Kelce at 110 receptions, Juju at 78, who was third at 56.
Judging by we just did 25 minutes on this, I'm going to say Pacheco.
It was Jerick McKinnon also out of the
Jerick
backfield.
McKinnon, that's
right.
Ah, very good.
Lots of usage there.
Yeah, and they know how to use their guys.
Which was probably quadruple his carries, it feels like.
Yeah, it probably was. I don't remember running the ball very much.
72 carries for 291. Yeah, not high.
Hey, Jags opened the Miller Electric Performance Center today. What was it like? Stuart Weber stops on by. He was there this morning for the Big Scissors ribbon cutting ceremony.
Hey, the scissors.
It's next on ESPN 690.
Now, the First Alert forecast on ESPN 690.
Partly sunny and hot today with a widely scattered afternoon thunderstorm. The high 97, but feel like temperatures 103 to 107. Dropping into the mid-70s tonight and partly to mostly sunny and hot tomorrow. Your Wednesday high between 95 and 100 degrees. I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish. Join me today beginning at 5 p.m. on CBS 47 and Fox 30 Action News Jax.
The Weather Center is brought to you by Beard's Diamonds. Save up to 40% now during the Christmas and July sale at Beard's Diamonds.
Smoothie King is a family thing for my family. I love the Lean One vanilla and strawberry. My wife Steph gets the Lean One chocolate. My daughter Kaylee, the Caribbean way. And Ty goes all out for the Hulk. You have choices at Smoothie King. Smoothies for everyone, and now smoothie bowls too. And this summer, plunge into extreme watermelon smoothies, now available at Smoothie King for a limited time. Enjoy extreme watermelon, or for something more tart, dive into the new extreme watermelon lemonade. Extreme watermelon smoothies back for a limited time only at Smoothie King. Rule the day at a Smoothie King in Jacksonville.
Hey, this is Bruce.
And I'm Carrie.
We're the owners of Koala Insulation. It's a great time of year to invest in energy-efficient improvements to your home. With our competitive rates and new tax credits for insulation upgrades, you can get huge savings to improve your insulation today and see long-term savings every month going forward.
Give us a call and set up your free evaluation at 679-6282 or find us online at koalainsulation.com.
We're dealing at Best Bet St. Augustine, the only card room and sports bar in St. Augustine, Florida. With nonstop action, poker games of all limits, exciting tournaments and table games, and a sports bar showing all the action, Best Bet St. Augustine has you covered. Don't miss our delicious dining options, serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and our always popular freshly made sushi. Best Bet St. Augustine is located at 800 Marketplace Drive off exit 311, where I-95 and State Road 207 meet. Learn more at bestbetjax.com.
Are you a real estate investor or have considered investing and want to know where you can put your money that offers solid returns and protects against market volatility? It's Rich Jones. I want to introduce you to DLP Capital, CEO and founder Don Wenner.
For more than a decade, DLP Capital has delighted our investors with consistent double-digit returns. Through the smart, conservative real estate investment strategy our company is built on, we have been able to achieve this with monthly distributions and tax shelters so our investors can keep more of their returns.
Dial ** invest on your cell phone or visit highyieldreturns.net.
Take back your quality of life today. Don't give in to that constant joint pain. Get some help from QC Kinetics with a free consultation, 904-274-5522. Hey, everybody, it's Brent Martineau. QC Kinetics is helping people every day here in Jacksonville and across the country with their amazing non-surgical treatments that repair and restore damaged joint tissue. This incredible non-invasive approach helps you take back control of your body, relieving the pain in knees, hips, shoulders, or even the back. No invasive surgery, no harmful drugs or steroids, and no downtime. They use the latest advanced medicine, make their own body healing agents, considering them in the area where you have agonizing pain. Sometimes it's about quality of life. Making better in the mountains. For consultation with UC Medical, 904-745-52.
The 2023 presented by Bell Asphalt is another record-breaking success, helping local pediatric cancer families.
Thanks to the Child Cancer Fund, I'm able to go get the groceries when I need them. Put gas in my car because we have to go to the hospital sometimes every single
Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL. Offered to business customers by WebBank, who determine in terms of